the prop list. We got a lot. In this class, we're going to be looking at the get-up again from the perspective of our shoulders. And our shoulders connect to our rib cage, and all of the muscles, not all of the muscles, but a lot of the muscles of the shoulder blade also attach to the spine. And if they don't attach to the spine, they either attach to the collarbone or the rib cage. So we will also be looking at the rib cage for that reason. So I have a foam roller. Mine is short. Yours doesn't have to be. A long one will work fine. I have a small medium resistance loop. You don't need this, but it'll give you a little bit more feedback for stability in the shoulders if you use it. I have a blanket and I have 2 gliders. You can get away with just using the blanket, but I have carpet in here, so I can't slide on the blanket on a hard floor, but if you have a hard floor, you don't need these. You can use a blanket. And then I have a medium to light dumbbell, kettlebell, probably no more than 10 pounds, but anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds if you're using a kettlebell. All right. So we are going to start the way that we usually do with a small, a somatic lesson for the shoulder blades. So we are going to start lying on our backs. And you'll want to have the space cleared off beside your mat because you're going to want to bring your arms out to a T. So look out to each side and make sure that your wrists are aligned with your shoulders. So you don't want them lower or higher. You want them straight out like a T. You can bend the knees. And you're going to make a loose fist, and the pinky edge of your hand will be on the floor. So this is our neutral. And we are going to start by rolling onto the back of your hand and then start to move towards maybe the thumb side of your hands. And then roll back down to that neutral, so pinky edge. So this is our somatic practice. We are first working with external rotation of the shoulders. So you are rolling from the pinky edge through the back of the hand and maybe to the thumb edge. And closing your eyes, just start to sense what happens to the shoulder blades as you move slowly through these rotations from pinky edge back to thumb edge. And keep the elbows straight, otherwise you won't really feel the shoulder blades move. And just maybe make first the shoulder blades do this, then they do this, and kind of make a note of it. And then the next time you roll back to where the thumbs are on the ground, lift your hips off the ground. So coming into a bridge. And as you lift, can you take the arms even further back? Maybe coming on to the fingernail or the palm side. You're still in the knuckles, so your fingernail knuckles are on the ground. And then release one vertebrae at a time. And as you do, let the hands roll back to that neutral. So roll again back to the thumb edge. Roll as far as you can. When you can't roll any further, lift your hips. And then one vertebrae at a time, peel back down. And do this exploration a time or two. So moving first the hands and the arms. And then when you can't roll any further, lift the hips. Lower the hips and only lower the hands once the hips are back down. So let's do 2 more like that. Roll the fist, and maybe you start to notice that you can roll the fist even further. So maybe you're rolling through that thumb side onto the finger knuckle side, even before you have to lift your hips. Good. We're going to lift up one more time. So start by rolling the arms. See how far you can take the arms back. Then lift the hips as high as you can. And then glue the finger knuckles to the ground. And slowly lower the hips down, trying to keep the finger part of your knuckles glued to the floor the whole time. And then unroll. We'll do that one more time. So roll from pinky edge, back a hand, thumb, edge, arms stay straight. See how far you can roll the fingers before you lift the hips, and then lift the hips. As high as you can. Rotate the shoulders as far as you can. So glue the finger knuckles to the ground and then keep them glued to the ground as you slowly release the hips back down. And are you able to keep the finger knuckles on the ground? And then release the shoulders back down. Move the knees side to side. We're going to go the opposite way. So bring the hands back out to the side into the neutral. Look to make sure your wrists are still in line with your shoulders. And this time you're going to roll the finger knuckles. So what I mean by this is the part of your fingers, you still have a fist, but the part of the fingers comes to the floor, and then roll the thumb side down. And then roll back through the fingers and back to the pinky edge. So now we're looking at internal rotation. So just going back and forth, and you don't have to roll. You might not be able to roll all the way onto the thumb side. But as you go this way, you may notice that one shoulder blade moves completely different than the other. Just kind of make a mental note of that. And then how would you describe what your shoulders do? And then the next time you roll through and you bring your thumb down, curl your chin towards your chest, lift your head, look down towards your feet, and see if you can roll all the way onto that thumb knuckle side now. Lower the head, lower the back, lower the head, roll back up to pinky edge, and we'll do this exploration just a few times. So go as far as you can, and then tuck the chin to lift, look down at your feet, and roll back down. Last time like this, roll the hands in as far as you can, feeling the shoulders when you can't roll anymore. Tuck the chin, lift, look down towards your feet. So my upper back is lifting off the ground, and I'm really rounding my shoulders. Good. Come back down. This time we're going to hold. So roll through finger knuckles, roll onto that thumb edge. And notice if you're already further. I'm already much further. Tuck your chin, lift your head. And then see if you can even think of rolling onto the back of your hand. So internal rotation even more. And wherever you are, pin your knuckle, pin down your hand, and just lower your head and your shoulders first. And see if you can keep the thumb edge or even beyond the thumb edge glued. and then roll out of it. We'll do that just one more time. So roll through your finger knuckles, roll onto your thumb edge. Start to roll as far forward as you can without lifting your head, and then when you can't roll any further, tuck your chin, look down at your feet as you lift your upper back off the ground. Go into internal rotation as much as you can, wrist in line with your shoulders. And then wherever you've rolled to, keep that as you lower your upper back and head. And then release. Bring the arms back down beside your body. And swivel your knees side to side. So we are working on kind of mobilizing your shoulder blades in order to access internal and external rotation in your shoulder joint a little bit more. So much of the rotation inside the joint is dependent on how well your shoulder blades can move. Bring your arms out one more time. This time we'll start with palms up. You're going to turn your right palm down and your left palm up, and you can make fist and see if you can go as far into both of those things that we just did, but up opposites. And then rotate the other way. So right palm rolls back, and then left arm rolls forward. And then just start to move, and as you move, the fists stay on the floor. The shoulder blades will either roll forward and up or down and back, depending on the way that you roll. But let your head turn towards the fingers that are pointing back. So the externally rotating shoulder. And if that doesn't make sense, just go one way for a few. And then switch. So turn your arms, don't turn your head. And then go head turning towards the arm that lifts into internal rotation, which is the shoulder that kind of lifts up and off the floor. And just notice if one is a little bit less coordinated. It's really hard for me to turn towards the shoulder that I'm internally rotating. But as I practice, it's getting easier. Good. Release. We're going to take the foam roller. So you can lift up to seated. Take your foam roller. And you're going to set it off to your right side. And feet point off to your left side. So the space in which you're rolling is kind of this lower armpit and side rib region. So you want to bring that onto the foam roller. And I kind of feel like the edge of my shoulder blade on the foam roller. And kind of, I'm not in my armpit, but the lower part of the armpit. Take your left hand behind your head. And you're just going to start to roll forward. And this can be really sensitive, so go slow. And you don't have to make big movements. So if it is ultra sensitive, you can just barely rock forward and back. And the next time you rock forward, stay forward. Take your left hand out on the ground before you and push down and feel yourself kind of shift backwards on the foam roller. Be light on the arm that's on the ground. You still want it on the ground, but be light. And consciously breathe into that space that's on the foam roller. And yes, it can be very sensitive. And then take that left hand, place it on the front of your foam roller, and pull yourself forward. So we are shearing those muscles, creating more space. This is the space where your serratus and your external obliques meet. This is the connection between your pelvis and your shoulder. Okay. And then we're going to stay on that side. Take your left knee, bring it on top of the foam roller. Bring your head on your arm long. Then you're going to bend your right knee up towards the sky. Grab your right foot with your left hand, so the hand that's on top grabs the front of the foot. And then you're going to twist your back towards the floor behind you. You might have to adjust your foam roller. And you will probably roll off of your arm. I've just kind of let my arm hang out in front of me. Straighten the leg that's on the foam roller and start to reach that leg forward. So your pelvis is rotating towards the foam roller. The rib cage is rotating towards the floor behind you. And this might be dependent on flexibility. If you can't grab your foot, you can always use that little resistance loop that we had, or you can just reach in the direction of it. Take 3 more breaths, trying to expand your rib cage, the lower part of your rib cage with your lungs with each breath. Good. Release the right foot. Roll forward and press yourself up. And then we'll go to the other side. So we are spending a lot of time working on mobilizing the spine and the shoulder, hopefully to give us a little bit more space when we get into the get-up. So bring the foam roller again kind of in that lower part of your armpit, knees stacked, and left hand behind your head. Just start to slowly rock forward and back. And you may notice one side is ultra sensitive and the other side is just sensitive. And then rock forward, take your right hand to the ground out in front of you. Use it to push yourself back. So you should feel the foam roller kind of grip on the muscles and stretch them. We call that a shearing of the muscle. And then grab onto the front of the foam roller and pull yourself forward. So now you're shearing the opposite way. Again, this is right where your external oblique and your serratus anterior, which is the shoulder blade muscle. It moves the shoulders forward. It's your push muscle, where those two muscles meet. Good. And then lift up. Bring the foam roller out in front of you. Bring your knee on top of the front, the right knee on top. Left leg starts straight. You can rest your head on your arm. Bend your knee and reach the toe up towards the sky. You can either reach back and grab your hands, or if you have that small resistance loop, you can wrap it around your foot. And then pull your foot towards the floor behind you. So your rib cage rotates the floor towards the floor behind your back. And straightening your right leg, start to reach your toes forward. So you are consciously pulling your hip towards the foam roller, rolling your hip towards the foam roller as you roll the rib cage in the opposite way. Consciously expand your rib cage with each inhalation. Take one more breath. And you can bend your top knee, release your left foot, roll back forward, and come up to hands and knees. So we've worked on creating some mobility in some of the muscles that move and stabilize the shoulder blades. Now we're going to work on stabilizing those same muscles. So the first thing we're going to do is take the foam roller out in front. You're going to bring your right forearm only on top of the foam roller. Take your left hand across and just kind of hold your rib cage in so you're not collapsing. You're almost pulling, using your arm to pull your rib cage up towards your back body. And then press down hard through your forearm and start to push, roll the foam roller forward and back with your forearm. So the key to this is to push as hard as you can. And you're only going as far forward as you can pull it back. The next time you take it forward, stay forward, reach your fingertips towards the floor, and keep pushing the forearm into the foam roller. And you probably feel a lot, I'm shaking, probably feel a lot of work around your shoulder blade. But you're not collapsing, right? You're still pulling yourself back. So your rib cage is lifting up into your shoulder blade. Good. Take it back. Reach that arm up. Take it between your shoulder blades. Grab and pull towards the center of your head. And then we'll repeat on the other side. So forearm on the foam roller. Lift your entire torso away from the floor. So you're almost lifting your rib cage into your shoulder blade. Push down hard. And then start to roll it forward and roll it back. So nothing is moving. I'm not getting closer or further away from the floor. So I'm maintaining my distance away from the floor. I'm just pushing down hard, and I'm moving my shoulder. My elbow moves towards straight, and my shoulder is doing so much work. Next time you go forward, stay forward. Reach your fingertips towards the floor. Move the rib cage up into your shoulder blade. Chest is squared towards the floor, and hold. Good. Pull it back in. And come to sit back. Reach your left arm up. Stretch, reach the hand between your shoulder blades. Grab the elbow and pull. So that was creating stability and flexion. So flexion is anytime the arms are going up in this space, right? So now we're going to work with stability with extension, because we do have all of these movements in our get-up. So if you have a blanket and you plan on gliding on the floor on your blanket, you want to make sure that the blanket is on the hard surface. If you're on carpet like me, I'm actually going to use the blanket to glide on because I'll be off camera otherwise. So you're going to sit with your hands on whatever you're going to glide on behind you. And blankets work so much better because these gliders are really slippery. But you press both hands into the gliders, lift the top of your chest, and you're going to go only as far back as you can slide out of. So you're sliding back and forth, back and forth. And if you notice, I'm not allowing my shoulders to collapse because I want to use this to create stability. So you're going to go as far back as you can, hold, push down through your blanket or your gliders, lift your chest, shoulder blades down your back, hold as if you're pulling it closed, but you're not yet. I'm sweating. and then pull closed. So that's extension. Now you're going into a side sit with your hand either on your blanket, if your blanket is the glidey thing, or your hand on the glider. Push down hard. Take your shoulder blade away from your ear. If you want to keep your hand on there just to kind of test it, so you're going out and in. So as you go out, don't let your shoulder lift. And you're pushing down relatively hard because you want to feel all of these muscles that we rolled out engage to stabilize the arm. And this time as we go out, we're going to hold, push down as if you're going to drag it back, but don't, and hold. Keep shoulder away from the ear. And notice if you feel these muscles underneath your armpit. Engage. And then pull in. And we'll go to the other side. You're going to see my back for this side. So hand on the shoulder blade, or hand on the glider or blanket. Push down as if you're pushing yourself away from the floor. Maintain that as you glide out. And what I just noticed is that this shoulder really wants to lift. So I have to really concentrate on keeping this shoulder away from my ear. I'm not necessarily pulling it down my back. I'm just not letting it lift as I go out. I'm trying to more or less maintain kind of that neutral. Next time you go out, stay out. Push down as if you're pulling it back. Notice if you start to drop, keep the shoulder away from the ear and keep as ifing pulling it towards your side. And then pull it towards your side to lift back up. Good. So we're going to go into it. Good. Good. So we are going to go into another twist just to give our shoulders a break. So come into an easy seated position and just twist to the right. So bringing the left hand to the outside of the knee, right hand, fingertips to the floor behind your hip. See if you can rotate just the rib cage. So your pelvis doesn't really move. And then switch to the other side. And notice if there's a difference side to side, and there usually is. Which side can you turn to more easily? It's probably the left. Good. And then bring your right hand out to the side. Push down through the hand to C-crunch on the right side, and then reach your left arm over your head. Breathe into the left side of your rib cage. Good. Switch. Push down like you're pushing yourself away, and then feel that C-crunch on the left side, the opening on the right side, and reach. Good. Take your resistance band, and you're going to place it right above your elbows. Like so. And we're going to come into elbow plank. So you can be on your knees if being in plank is just too much for you. But if you're good, lift knees off the floor. We have this resistance band to press out into. So press your upper arms out into the resistance band. And then let your pelvis lift a little bit more. Move your chest as far away from the floor as you can. Move your rib cage afar, not by lifting your hips, Lisa. Yep, just move the rib cage up. Just move the chest away from the floor. Good, release. So a quick lesson on the shoulders. You have your rib cage, and your rib cage is rounded on your back. And it's a perfect fit for your shoulder blade. So in order to create more stability in your shoulder, you want your rib cage to be a platform. So if you squeeze your shoulder blades together in a plank, or you squeeze your shoulder blades together anytime that you're stabilizing on your arm, you're actually pulling your rib cage away from your shoulder blade. So you're destabilizing your shoulder blade. So we're going to do plank again. We're going to use the band again. So come back into that same setup. And imagine that you are lifting your shelf, your rib cage, up to meet your shoulder blades. And you want the full rib cage, so not just the top. You're not just rounding your upper back. You're also lifting the bottom of your rib cage, not your pelvis, your rib cage. So if you watch for a second, this is me lifting my pelvis. You can see that my low back actually arches. If I lift my rib cage, you can see that it almost lengthens my low back. Good. Come out. And hopefully you felt that that made your plank a lot more stable. So we're going to play with side plank a little bit, and then we'll get into the get-up. So we're going to come down with our elbow almost directly below our shoulder. It's just a tad higher than your shoulder. Right now I have my forearm out in front of my elbow. What I don't like about this is that it turns my shoulder forward, more in that internal rotation. So to get out of that, I'm going to take it more to 45, right? So if this is 90 and this is 0, halfway in between is 45. I'm going to stack, because this is part of the get-up, a straight line from elbow to shoulder to shoulder. Yep. And then you can come onto your bottom knee to begin with to find that position. And maybe you stay on your bottom knee, maybe you step that bottom leg behind, but keep the stack. So elbow, shoulder, shoulder. And then think of the band, it's not there, but as if you're pushing that arm up into the band. Good. Lower the hips. And we'll go to the other side. So elbows almost directly underneath the shoulder, just slightly forward. We take the forearm from 90 to 45 to keep the front of the shoulder open. We stack elbow, shoulder, shoulder. And then lift onto the bottom knee. Start to push the arm like you're pushing it up into the band. And then maybe bring the bottom leg up. Keep pushing the forearm up, or not the forearm, the upper arm up towards the top of your mat to help create that stability. Good. And lower down. So we're going to go back to the first side and add a rotation. And I'm actually going to do this with you looking at my back so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm going to show you the front side first. You can do this on your knee. You can do this lifted. But I'm keeping my upper arm still, and I'm rotating just my chest. So from the back side, it looks like this. You can see that I'm keeping my upper arm stacked over my elbow as I twist. So, find that position, elbow almost underneath your shoulder. Find the forearm at 45 degrees. Decide if you're going to lift up onto your bottom knee or onto both legs. Find the stack, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, and then keep the shoulder where it is as you rotate your chest towards the ground. And then open. So you almost feel as if your rib cage, and it is rolling inside of the front of your shoulder blade. Let's try 2 more. Good. Final side. Find elbow under shoulder, forearm at 45. Start to press the elbow towards the top edge of your mat to create that stability. Decide if you're going to be on your knee or on your feet. Top hand behind your head, rotate. But as you do, kind of watch your upper arm. Can you keep it stacked above your elbow? And instead, roll your rib cage inside of the front of your shoulder blade. 1 more. Good. And release. Come down onto your belly. Take your right arm out to the side. T to the body. Take your left hand and press yourself open onto your right side. So give the shoulder a little stretch. And then switch to the other side. So left arm extends out to the side. Move your right palm in. Use your right palm to press yourself onto your left side. Good. Roll back onto your belly. Come up through hands and knees. And just sit your hips back towards your heels. Let your forehead rest on the floor. Let your elbows rest on the floor. Shift your rib cage side to side. And just let your shoulder blades make circles on your rib cage. Good. So we've worked on that stability in the shoulder with our hand planted on the ground, which is a big part of the get-up. But another big part of the get-up is having a shoulder lifted over your head or with a weight. So we're going to start lying on our right side. You're going to grab your weight with your right hand. Your elbow is bent. The weight is close to your chest. Reach your left hand across and grab on top of your fist. So we're going to roll onto our back and press your right arm straight up towards the sky. So look at your wrist. It's harder to do this with a dumbbell, but it is doable. You want your wrist flat. So often, can you see this? We will drop our knuckles back. And you will hear me say knuckles to the sky. That is the knuckles between your hands and your fingers. If they point straight up towards the sky, you'll see the back of your wrist get flat. That's part of a strong grip. The other part of the strong grip is just having your death grip on your weight. So lying on your back, you can either have one knee bent or both knee bent. It doesn't matter. Have your wrist directly above your shoulder and punch your fist up towards the sky so you feel the side of your shoulder blade come off the floor. And you're going to stay in that reaching position. As you start to twist your arms as far as you can in both directions. So we did this on the ground as our somatic kind of workout. So you are just rolling the arm as far as you can in both directions with that death grip, with the back of your wrist flat and with your elbow strong and straight. So it's not locked out, it's muscularly straight. Good. And then stop with your fingernails facing in towards your midline. I'm going to switch hands just so you can see what I'm doing, but you stay in the same hand. You're going to keep your right knee bent, the right arm straight up. You're going to take your left arm beside your ear and your left leg straight down. Bend your right knee, picking your foot up off the ground. And you're going to roll your left knee towards the floor out in front of your body. Let it drop on the floor, and as you do, come all the way up onto the right side of your rib cage. So my head comes on my arm. And then you're going to roll back down. So keep the dumbbell where it is as you roll onto your back. So you're going to come in and out of that. This is called an arm bar. So as the knee reaches over out in front of you, you push the arm straight up so that it's stacked, and then you roll back down. 2 more like this. So push the fist up towards the sky. You're laying on the entire right side of your rib cage. So the shoulder is completely stacked over the shoulder on the ground. Good. One more time, roll forward, stay forward, and straighten your left leg out in front of you. Rest your head on your left bicep. And then do that same circle. So you're rotating the arm as much as possible in one direction. It's a little harder here because you no longer have the floor supporting the shoulder blade. So keep the back of the wrist straight, or knuckles to the sky will make the wrist straight. And can you feel that movement all the way into the shoulder blade? Let the shoulder blade move. Keep the wrist stacked directly over your shoulder. It's hard, but we're creating stability in the shoulder. Good. You're going to roll back onto your back so weight stays where it is. You're going to bend the elbow to the floor. And then just switch arms. So now you're taking the weight into your left hand. Punch it up. Flatten the back of your wrist, so knuckles towards the sky, and twist as much as you can in both directions. And maybe you notice difference side to side. So we're not letting the back of the shoulder blade rest heavy on the ground. We're actually punching so hard with our arm towards the sky that that outer scapula shoulder blade lifts off the ground. Good. And then knuckles, fingernails come to face back towards the midline. Take your right arm beside your ear. Straighten your right leg long to the ground. Bend your left knee up. You'll see this from the back. So you're going to reach the left knee over towards the right and come all the way onto your right side. And then roll back down. Keep practicing knee, hip, rib cage stack. Roll back onto your back. And I find it much harder to stabilize keeping my wrist over my shoulder in my left side. This time when you roll, stay rolled. Let your arm support your ear or the side of your head. Make sure your wrist is directly over your shoulder, back of the wrist is flat, and then you're going to twist in both directions. And if you gaze at me right now, you'll see that I'm lying completely on my right side. Finding that full rotation, keep knuckles to the sky, and then face fingernails out in the direction of your left knee. Stay there and roll back onto your back. Bend the elbow to the ground. Release the weight. And grab your right arm or right shoulder with your left hand and wrap the left arm in front and do the same. And just kind of pull your shoulders away from the floor and rock your upper back side to side. Good. So we are going to roll. Shift the weight over onto your right side. And roll onto your right side. So grab the weight. Take your left hand on top. You're going to roll into that first position, which is the roll to press. So your right arm is directly above your right wrist directly above your right shoulder. Right knee is bent at 90 degrees. Left arm and leg are long on the ground, out at 45 degrees. We're going to punch the right arm up, feeling the shoulder blade lift off the floor, and then roll up onto your left elbow. So we're coming into that elbow prop. Gaze down at your left thumb, turn your chest towards your left thumb, and stack your right wrist directly above your right shoulder. Keep your chest aiming towards your left thumb, and then draw a circle with, or not a circle, but a line with your nose to gaze up towards your hand in the sky, and then back, nose to thumb on the ground. Nose to weight, nose to thumb. So you're just rotating your neck, thinking of drawing a straight line from your thumb to your lifted hand. The next time you look up at your hand, now you're going to do those rotations. We'll just do 4. Full rotations, trying to keep the wrist stacked over your shoulder. And notice how it likes to deviate. And think knuckles to the sky, and think straight, strong arm. Fingernails face towards your, towards the left. Roll back down. Drop the elbow to the floor. We're going to roll towards our right hand. And then flip the weight up onto the end of the dumbbell. And you're going to take it over your head, keeping it on the floor. To roll now onto your left side. So we'll do the same thing on the left side. So grab the dumbbell or kettlebell with your left hand. Take your right hand, place it on top. Elbows pull close in towards your chest. Roll onto your back. As you do, punch your left hand up towards the sky. Wrist stacked above shoulder, wrist flat, so knuckles towards the sky. Take your left hand out to this, or right hand out to the side, 45 leg as well. Start to punch so that you feel your left shoulder blade come completely off the ground. And then on your next punch, come up onto your elbow. So you're rotating your chest towards the thumb on the ground, so the right thumb. And you're going to draw a line with your nose from your right thumb to your left hand. Right thumb to left hand. So we still are thinking of that band wrapped around our elbow. So the elbow's kind of pressing up. So we get that stability on the shoulder. And then gaze up towards the weight and twist. So still thinking of the elbow on the ground like you're pushing the upper arm up into the band to stabilize the shoulder on the ground. And then you're twisting, wrist flat, arm straight to stabilize the lifted arm, and then roll back down. Bring the elbow to the ground and roll towards the bell, so roll to the left, and drop off your weight and roll back onto your back. So we are going to move just through the get up until we're at half kneeling. So we'll put all the parts together. So start with your right arm up, right knee bent, left leg and left arm flat on the ground, 45 degrees away from your center line. So you're going to pretend like the weight is there. We're giving our arm a break. So you're going to pretend like the weight is there, punch it up, feel the right shoulder blade come off the ground, and then roll to press up onto your elbow. So elbow. And then keep your forearm where it is, turn your hand out, and come up onto your hand. So continue to rotate your chest towards your right thumb or left thumb. Gaze up towards your right hand. Think of now pushing the floor away with your hand, so the hand that's on the ground. Push it down and away from you. Feel that create the stability in your shoulder. And then you'll lift your hips up into a hip bridge and swing the knee underneath. And then come to half kneeling. So I'll turn to face you. So this is half kneeling. So your left knee is on the ground, your right leg is forward. We're going to go back to holding the dumbbell between both of your hands. If you have a kettlebell, just hold it on the horns. So we're going to create a halo. So we'll go slow first. We're going to go towards our right knee. So lift your elbow, left forearm in front of your forehead. You're going to use this right hand to push it back and then circle and switch. So now your left elbow points down, right forearm is across your head and down. So up, push back, circle it around your head and down. We'll do 4 more like that. Push with your right, then circle it around. Good. And then once you have, can you make it more smooth? You just want to make sure that you are getting the shoulder movement. The rest of the body stays still. Good. And then take the weight in your right hand. Bring the dumbbell right in front of your right shoulder, so you're not resting your elbow on your rib cage. It's out in front, so like so. And then from there, you're going to press overhead and then drag the elbow straight down in front of your shoulder. So elbow goes straight up, bicep to ear. Drag the elbow straight down. From the front, it looks like this. You go straight up. Drag straight down. One more, go straight up. Tuck your left toes under and come to stand. Good. Bring it straight down. We did a little bit of this last week. We'll repeat it. So you're going to step your right foot back so you're in a split stance. You're going to hold the dumbbell at your chest. You're going to twist toward your left leg and then push straight up and over. Bring your elbows down and in towards your chest, twist to the right, and push down. Bend the elbows, bring it to your chest, twist to the left, push up. Draw the elbows straight down, bring it to your chest, twist to the right, push down. 2 more in each direction. You can make it a little bit more fluid. Just make sure you bring it to your chest in between. It's not you actually bring it through your chest and then down. Good. Come back to stand with both feet together. Bring the bell back into your right hand. Again, you're forward because you want your lats engaged. You're not down here. Hold it up. Step your left leg back. Lower down onto the left knee. Take the weight off, so just throw it so it's out of the way. Swivel your left foot over towards the right. Bring your left hand down to the ground. Right arm up towards the sky. And then you're going to kick through. Lower the left hip, lower the left elbow, roll down. And switch. So this time left knee is bent. Left fist is up straight towards the sky. Right arm, right leg are flat on the ground, 45 degrees away from the body. You're going to start to punch your fist up towards the sky, feeling the shoulder blade wrap around. And then once you have that, you're going to keep the shoulder blade and come up onto your elbow. Turn the forearm, keep the forearm where it is, turn the hand out, press up. Turn your chest towards your right thumb. So have that stack all the way across. And then you're going to lift the hips up. Continue that stack from wrist to shoulder to wrist, and then knee to the ground. And then come into that half kneeling. Take your weight. Hold it in front of your chest. Left elbow starts down, right arm forward, and then back, and then through. So it should be a little bit easier to go into that smooth movement. You can think of just circling your head with your weight, but I like to think of pushing with the left arm to take it back and around. One more time. The rest of your body stays still. The only thing moving is your shoulder. And then grab your weight, hold it right at your shoulder. So elbows off your rib. Overhead press, push straight up. So like you're going to punch the sky with the knuckles, so wrist stays flat. And you think bicep to ear. Hold it up. Tuck your right toes under. Stand up. And left foot stands back. Bend. Hold it at your chest. You're going to start by twisting towards your right leg. Press it up. Bring it through your chest. Twist it towards your left foot. So lift and chop. Two more. Good. Take the weight in your left hand, step your left foot up. Back of the wrist flat, overhead press, step your right leg back. Keep the bicep at the ear, so keep pushing up, lower down, bend it. Take it out of the way. Right hand comes to the floor as right foot kind of kicks over to the left. Reach your right arm straight up. So find that, or left arm straight up, find that stack. Lift your right knee off the ground, kick it through. Lower to your butt, elbow, roll to your spine, and roll onto your back. Take your right hand across to your left shoulder. Left hand, arm wraps in front. Rock your upper back side to side. And then take your right hand down to your rib cage, left hand down to your rib cage, rock side to side. Take the arms out, T to the body. So coming back to that practice that we did at the beginning of class. Roll from the pinky edges through the back of your hand and see how far you can roll the shoulders back without lifting the hips. And then roll through the back of your hand, through the pinky edge, finger knuckles down, and then maybe onto the thumbs. And again, see how far into internal rotation you can go without lifting the head. And then relax the arms down. And just rotate one palm up, the other palm down to let go of any remaining tension. You can let the head roll side to side. Good. And then just take a moment to feel your rib cage. Maybe straighten the legs and notice how far or close away the lower back is from the floor. And as you're ready, roll to either side and press yourself up. And this concludes our Get Up shoulder edition. So hopefully you learned some things about how to stabilize, how to mobilize the shoulders as well as the rib cage. Hopefully this was helpful. We'll start to put more of the Get Up together next